friends, it's Sharon from MadPaperCrush here, and today I'm going to try to help you do something that I have struggled with in the past, and that is printing duplex. So printing on both sides of one sheet of paper and making sure it's right side up on both sides. So have you ever printed out a digital that has a right side up and an upside down? So you can see here, this one has words. So I wanted this and pumpkins that are sitting there. And then you try to print on the other side. And when you do, it's upside down. So I hate when that happens, but I'm going to try to help you today do this on your own printer so that you can be sure things are printing on the right side and right side up on both pages. Now, one thing to note is that this works on my printer, but I do believe that you can use the same steps on any printer to try to figure this out. So this isn't a how to print tutorial. It's more of a how to print on duplex in the landscape position. So I found a lot of tutorials on how to print things this way duplex, but I wanted to print the landscape. So that was a little bit different, and I wanted to try to help you to do that so that you could make journal pages that can have right side up on both sides of the pages. So your printer may be different than mine, but if you modify the steps a little bit with your own printer, I believe that you can figure this out on how to do landscape pages duplex on your own printer. All right, something else that I just wanted to mention is that you can always check the manual for your printer. Most printers these days, if your printer is newer, there are manuals online if you have lost your printer manual, but I do suggest that you look at your printer manual to see how you print duplex based on what your manufacturer says. So the other thing to note is that when you're trying to print duplex so that both sides are right side up, you want to flip on the short edge. So that means that we're going to flip the paper on the short edge to do our duplex. So you want to look for that in your manual, and that will help you print duplex that way. Another way that you can print, that you could print duplex if you wanted to, if you're not comfortable doing it or you just don't feel like you can do it, is you can take your digitals to a copy shop and they will print them for you as well. So that is another option if you're not going to print on your own printer, but I love being able to print at home, and I wanted to be able to print duplex. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to be using some test papers in JPEG format for this tutorial. If you'd like to use them to figure out duplex printing on your printer, you can head over to my blog to grab them. Go to madpapercrush.com/freebies and they'll be waiting for you there. All right, so the first thing we have to do is we have to run a little test so you know how your paper is going through your printer so that you know which way to put the other side in or to print the other side. So all I've done right here is I pulled out my printer tray. So this goes right into my printer like this, just to kind of give us an idea. I'm going to show you exactly how I put it in when we do that, but I just wanted to pull it out so you could see, this is how I'm going to be putting my paper into my tray. So then to do our test, just take a piece of your printer paper. Don't go for your most expensive stuff. Just grab a piece of copy paper, whatever you have. And what we're going to do is we're going to make some marks on this to help us know how the paper is going through the printer to be printed. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to put on this before print. So I'm just putting that anywhere so that I know this is the side that before I've done any printing, this is the side that's going to be up. So we can just finish that off with this side up. Okay, so I know that this side is up in my printer tray. Okay, and if you don't have a printer tray that lays flat, if you have one that comes out of the printer, you can put before print, this side visible or something like that. It's just the side of the paper that's not against the other stack of papers in your tray, however that tray works. And then the other thing that I want to put in is a little arrow that says this side in first. Okay, And then the other thing that I'm just going to note to myself, well, actually, this is all we're going to do, because when it comes out, we'll make some more marks on it. So once you have these two things, this is before print, this side up, and this side goes in first. Okay, so we know those two things. So when I pull out my printer tray, I'm going to put my paper in just like this, but I'm going to take it to the printer so you can actually see that part of it. Okay, here we are at my printer. And I'm sorry for the lighting in here. This is my office, so it's not the same as in my studio where I have some overhead lighting and things. But I'm at my printer, and as you can see, I have a Canon MG 7720. And as I said in the introduction, you know, this may not be the printer that you have, but you should be able to follow similar steps on yours to get this to work for you. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull out my tray there. So you saw this when I was marking the paper, but this is it in the printer. So I'm pulling out my tray, and I'm going to take the paper that we marked up. So I have this side up and this end in first, and that's how I'm placing it in my printer tray on the stack of papers that's already there. So now that I have that pushed in and ready to go, I'm going to do my first print. Okay, I'm at my computer, and all I'm going to do here is I'm going to print the first test print. So however you do that on your computer, that's what you're going to do now. So I'm just going to, this is normally how I print things. I just print them right from my Windows Explorer here, and I do it as a full page photo. And I always deselect fit picture to frame. Because I know this is a full page photo, I don't need to stretch it or anything like that. So that's what I'm going to do. This is the MadPlans Duplex printing test number 1. So this is the one I'm going to print first, and then I'm just going to go ahead and do that. Okay, it's printing on my printer, and we are watching it come out now. It's very exciting. Okay, after your print comes out, I want you to leave it on the printer for a second. Don't automatically take it away, because this is an important step to understanding what we need to do to get it to print right side up on the other side. So you can see how this came out, and you can tell I don't have any marks on this side. So the printed on the opposite side of what was up in my printer tray, if that makes sense. Now, the next thing you want to do is note which side of the paper is the top, so that we can put it back in the printer the right way. Mine came out of the printer with the left side as the top. Yours might be different. So we want to make a note of that on the paper as well. Now I'm going to make an X because it was hard for me to reach around my camera, but you should put something like left side or right side, depending on how your paper came out. So you can see I put the X there, but I will, when I take it away from the camera, I will put left side on there, because then I will know which side has to be on the left to make sure it prints right side up for the second page. Okay, since my printer paper came out this way and it's right side up, the left side is really the top of my paper. And so I put left side on here so that I can remember that when I go to put the paper back in. Now, my paper, when we originally put it in, we put in this side first on top of the stack of papers, and this side was up. So when I printed the first one, it printed on the opposite side of the paper. So we know to print our second side, we're going to have to start with this side up. Now, the only thing that you have to remember for doing that is to make sure that you have your top on the left side. So you can see if I put it in this way, when it comes out, my top is going to be on this side, and then my sheets are going to be upside down to each other. So when I put it back in, I want to be sure I put it in with my top to the left. And I want, because in my printer, the paper came out with the words that we started with on the other side. Now I'm going to put them down to do my second side. And I have my top on the left side. So let me just close my printer, kind of show you what I'm talking about. I have my top on the left side. I don't even really care which side goes in first because I know that my top needs to be on this side. And I know that my printing needs to be up because when I print the second side, it's going to be underneath on the back side of that paper. All right, so back to the computer. Okay, to print the second print, I'm going to print the same way that I did before, and I tried to make this a little bit different. So I made a purple flower on there so you could see it was different. And it says print to, but you know, I can't do anything without a little bit of vintage botanicals in there, I guess. Okay, so now I'm going to print this just the same way as I did before. I'm going to take off my fit picture to frame. This may be different on your printer, obviously. So let's go ahead and print it out, and then we'll go back to the printer. Okay, our second side is coming out, and hopefully this will be success. Okay, you can see it's printing where I had written stuff. So that means it's printing on the right side, which is good. Okay, so now if I take my paper, it's right side up when it's landscape. And then if I flip it over, it is right side up that way, which is exactly what I wanted. All right, and that's how you print in the landscape position on the short edge. So you might want to keep this test paper around just as a reference, but certainly you could do this test again if you forget how to do it. You could also just jot down, make a little note that says, you know, once you print the first print, put the next one in with the top to the left and the first print down or something like that, just to kind of jog your memory on how to do that. And once you do that, then you can print out papers that when you flip them over are actually right side up on both sides of the page, and that would make a perfect signature page there that you didn't have to worry about one side being upside down. So I hope this was helpful for you. Let me know in the comments what you think, or if you have any additional questions that I can try to help answer. And I will see you in the next video. Take care, friends. Bye-bye.